двигаться быстрее. Солнце не очень-то полезно для моей кожи. Ну, надеюсь, ты понимаешь.
Los, Janine!
Яростнее ты будешь сражаться, тем больше ты будешь страдать.
Я у тебя... Да, эти вампиры... Неужели? У вас есть... Я буду счастлив? Хорошо. Я поспешу туда, пока не появились новые вампиры.
I'm impressed you could find.
Чтение? Да. Дай старику знать, когда можно начинать.
Поездка в Skyrim? О, мой драгоценный... Ну, и должен отметить... О, разумеется. Посмотрим, какие тайны он нам откроет. А теперь... Прошу всех соблюдать тишину.
Я знал,
Мне нужно
что когда-нибудь это
сосредоточиться.
случится. Я знал, но никто не верил.
Образ великого лука. Я знаю это оружие. Это лук Ауриэля. А теперь голос шепчет: среди детей ночи возвысится ужасный властитель. В эпоху смуты раздоров, когда драконы вернутся в мир людей, тьма смешается со светом, ночь и день станут едины. Голос слабеет, слова путаются и искажаются. Но подожди, тут есть еще кое-что. Тайна силы этого лука записана где-то в другом месте. Я думаю, есть еще части пророчества в других свитках. Да, теперь я вижу. В одном описаны древние тайны драконов, в другом говорится о могуществе древней крови. Взор мой слабеет, и я больше ничего не вижу. Чтобы прочесть пророчество целиком, нам понадобится 2 других свитка. Мне нужно отдохнуть. Чтение меня утомило.
Давай, старик. Тебе нужен отдых.
Мы можем поговорить пару минут? Это жрец мотылька Дикс. Половина. Не лучше. Мой отец встретил меня. Наши пути. Не думаю даже, что он видит во мне. Нужно. Она определенно должна во время и боль. Но она так сказала это. Может, я не могу. Помимо всего, есть идеи? Погоди. В замке все ингредиенты для нас. Безусловно. Хотя, я не думаю. Точно. На северный туда выходит старый тайный ход из замка. Думаю, мы там... Не буду тогда тебе... Когда подготовишься, я буду ждать тебя у пристани.
Папа говорит,
Да
что я
хранят.
слишком приветлива
Погляди.
с чужаками. Но ты вроде ничего.
До встречи.
Заходи, заходи. У нас теплая еда,
Вряд ли за тобой
теплое
следили.
питье и
Пошли.
теплые постели.
У меня есть план. Я придумала, как провести тебя. Нет,
Мне не стоит. Посланник... Я могу. У меня его... Я ему... А я... Найдешь меня в конюшнях Солитьюда, когда договоришься с Малборном. Есть вопросы?
Добро пожаловать. Дай мне знать, если
Одна
тебе
из
что-нибудь
самых
нужно.
любимых мною.
Правда.
Все
Значит
знают
так.
эту прекрасную
Даже
легенду.
дай мне то, без чего не сможешь обойтись. И я пронесу это... Ладно, я пронесу это в посольство. Мне пора идти. Я тебя найду на приеме, не волнуйся. Твоя задача — пройти на прием так, чтобы в тебе не заподозрили шпиона. Об остальном...
То, что нужно пронести в посольство. Хорошо, но ты сможешь. Это... Когда у тебя будет... Тебя не пустят на прием в Талморском посольстве в таком виде. Ну что, пора садить. Не... Главное, удачи.
Еще кто-то
Добро
опаздывает
пожаловать в
к
Талморск.
вечеру,
Благодарю, господин. Проходите.
Какой шикарный экипаж, надо же.
Добро. А вы? Ах, да. Прошу
Госпожа
вас.
посол, простите,
Расскажите
что
о себе
прерываю.
побольше. Что случилось, Малборн?
У нас закончилось вино Алта.
Последнее
Вы разрешите
время
мне
так
открыть
трудно
олимпийский
стало
класс?
доставать.
Конечно.
даже слух трудно
Я же
прокормить.
просила не беспокоить меня такими мелочами.
Да, госпожа
Может быть,
посол.
появится какой-нибудь герой и решит все наши проблемы.
Что
как в
вам
старых
принести?
сказках.
Ты на при... Надеюсь, мы оба доживем до завтра. Пожалуйста, чем еще могу служить?
Долго война
Мне
не
пора в Виндхельм. У меня много работы. Неужели так заметно? Но честно, надеюсь, что этот прием не затянется.
Вайтрана разбили лагерь Гаджиты. Они со своим товаром по всему Скайриму путешествуют.
Позволь мне представиться, Розелан. Торгу... если я могу тебе чем-то помочь. Чудесно.
Идет война.
Отойди и насладись моим мастерством. Внимание всем!
Да,
Пожалуйста,
конечно.
послушайте
Я буду ждать у
меня.
двери, пока все не
Я
отвлекутся
хочу
на другое.
сделать объявление. Я предлагаю тост за Эллен Вен. А
Розелан,
нашу
что ты
хозяйку.
делаешь?
Фигурально, разумеется. Маловероятно, чтобы кто-то из вас захотел оказаться с ней в постели. Хотя вы почти все уже с ней в постели. Но все же я, конечно, выражаюсь фигурально.
Пошли, пошли, пока нас не заметили.
Ладно, уберите руки. Ладно уж, я буду паинькой. Мы же не хотим оскорблять...
Пока все хорошо.
господ.
Будем надеяться, что никто нас не видел. Мы должны пройти через кухню. Твои вещи спрятаны в кладовой. Держись поблизости, а говорить буду я, хорошо? Иди за мной.
Кто идет, Малборн? Ты же знаешь, я терпеть не могу странные запахи на кухне.
Гостю стало плохо. Оставь его в покое.
Гость? На кухне? Ты же знаешь, это против правил.
Против, наверное, нужно уточнить у посла.
Убирайся отсюда. Я ничего не видела.
Твои вещи в этом сундуке. Я закрою за тобой дверь. Смотри осторожнее. Давай, если меня хватится, нам крышка.
Ваш народ так же боится драконов, как и мой. Мы столько часов провели на совете. Все искали решение.
Поспеши. Мне пора возвращаться, пока меня не начали искать.
Мои слуги о вас не забывают?
Весьма. Благодарю вас.
Я закрою за тобой дверь, иначе патрульные заметят, что что-то не так. Я закрою. Удачи.
Вы видели утром
Рассчитывай
отряд
теперь
магов?
только на себя.
С кем это они? Новые миротворцы-посланники? Что это?
Но мне нужны эти деньги. Я их заработаю. Что это будет? Есть?
Я тебя убью.
Будут охотиться за мной до конца жизни. Надеюсь, дело того стоило.
Заходи, мы как раз подложили дров. Присаживайся и согрейся.
Ну, удалось узнать что-то полезное? Правда? Что-то не верится. Хотя это значит, что если там, кроме же... Он про что... Эсберн был этим по-настоящему одержим. Какая? Но все равно... Они знают, где он. В Рифте. Отправляйся в... Да. Спроси его, где он был 30-го дня начала морозов. Он поймет.
Налей-ка мне кружку Эля.
Сейчас принесу. Сейчас принесу.
Ты тут тоже недавно, да?
Если в кошеле... Ха, опять никого... Там есть... Можешь там поспрашивать, если тебя не прикончат в...
Одно, много... Он прячет... Старый сумасшедший, говорят. Чтобы здесь жить, и вправду нужно умом двигаться.
Уходи. Что? Нет, это не дельфина? Да как же вы сам... Входи и расскажи, как тебе удалось меня найти и что тебе нужно. Входи и расскажи, как тебе удалось меня найти
секунду.
и что тебе нужно.
Вечно он заедает. Ну вот. Сейчас. Еще парочку.
Вот и все. Проходи, проходи. Так-то лучше. Теперь можно поговорить. Значит, я думал, она уже по... Что? Алдуй... Я пытался... Да, да. Только Кажется, боги про... Что? Тогда мы должны... Секундочку, одну минутку. Кое-что взять. Нам нельзя останавливать. Это нужная вещь. Это мусор. Где же мой ануат с комментариями? Секундочку. Я понимаю, что время не ждет. Нельзя же оставлять все наши секреты талмудцам. Надо взять. Так, все. Можно идти. Дельфина, я рад тебя видеть. Лет прошло.
Я тоже рада тебя видеть.
Да хранят тебя боги в битвах, друг.
То, что коготь вернулся на свое законное место, много для нас значит. Благодарю.
Если тебе нужно что-то простое и надежное, клянусь и с миром, я
Последи
выкую
за
это.
залом, пожалуйста.
Запросто.
Сюда. Послушаем, что скажет Эсборн. Итак, насколько я понимаю, ты уже знаешь?
О, да, Давакин. Да, я знаю. Это все меняет, разумеется. Нельзя терять времени. Мы должны найти... Давай покажу. Где-то у меня здесь...
Что, Эсборн?
Секундочку. 1 минуту. Вот, нашел. Давай я тебе покажу. Смотри, вот здесь. Храм небес... Стена... Ее... Она не была утрачена. Просто забыта. Это... Там мы найдем...
Ты понимаешь, о чем он говорит? Ты думаешь, что стена Алдуина расскажет нам, как победить Алдуина? Веди нас в храм Небесной Гавани. В чем дело?
Вот и печать крови. Еще одно забытое искусство Акавира. Наверняка приводится в действие... Да, кровью. Твоей кровью, Девакин.
Попробуй
Смотри,
пролить каплю крови на
видишь,
рисунок
как
на полу.
древние клинки почитали Римана Сиродила.
Получилось. Смотри, она оживает. Отлично. Это вход. Вперед, Девакин. Тебе принадлежит честь прежде других равных.
Восхитительно. Настоящие акавирские барельефы. Великолепно сохранились. Потрясающе. Видно, как акавирские резчики начали перенимать более плавный нордский стиль.
Мы ищем стену Алдуина, да, Эсберн?
Да, конечно. Надеюсь, потом у нас еще будет время осмотреться. Давайте пойдем дальше. Шоровы кости, вот она. Стена Алдуина. Как хорошо сохранилась. Прекрасный образчик акавирских барельефов начала Второй эпохи.
Эсберн, нам нужна информация, а не лекция по истории искусств.
Да, да. Давайте-ка посмотрим. Смотри, это Алдуин. На этой панели показано начало времен, когда Алдуин и культ дракона правили Скайримом. А вот люди восстали против своих хозяев-драконов. Легендарная война драконов. Центральный сюжет стены — победа над Алдуином. Видишь, вот он падает с неба. Нордские языки, мастера голоса, встали против него.
А как они его победили, показано? Разве мы не за этим пришли?
Терпение, солнце мое. Акаверцы никогда не отличались прямотой. Тут сплошные аллегории и мистические символы. Да, да, вот эти завитки, которые идут из ртов героев нордов, так акаверцы обозначали крик. Но как же узнать, что это за крик? Скорее всего, нечто особенное, тесно связанное с драконами и с самим Алдуином.
То есть они победили Алдуина при помощи крика? Это точно?
Несомненно. Они бы не стали так выделять крик, если бы он не был важен. Вспомни, эта стена создавалась специально для будущих клинков. Здесь нет ничего случайного.
Значит, нужно искать крик. Проклятие. Тебе доводилось слышать про такие вещи? Я боялась. Думаю, тут уж... Я не хотела к ним обращаться. Мы осмотрим. Да хранит тебя Талос.
Смотри, на третьей панели. Пророчество, которое пришло от это каверцы, клинки. Видишь, особые...
направит... Кто тебе такое сказал? Они... Неужели мы ничему тебя не научили? Ты просто будешь Не важно. Тебе не... Если миру... Нет, не сейчас. Тебе нужно вернуться на путь мудрости. Давакин, погоди. Прости, не мне принимать. Нет, мы не жалеем об этой утрате. Но, возможно, его знали только его только Партурнакс. Ты не... Но благодаря клинкам он наш вождь. Он редко говорит с... Только те, чей голос силен, могут найти путь. Идем. Мы научим тебя крику, который откроет путь к Партурнаксу. Тебе свое знание чистого неба. Это наш последний дар тебе, Давакин. Используй его мудро. Чистое небо развеет туман, но только на время. Путь Партурнаксу.
Скажи мне, Дрен, по давней традиции сперва говорит старейший. Слушай мой тум, ощути его костями своими. Борись с ним, если ты Товакин. Я сказал, Рутмулак ждет. Да, Товакин, Йо, пойми огонь, как его понимают Дов. Не стоило тебе так далеко, Алдуи, но я твой, наш Дрем, всему свою. Возможно, этот мир для но ты знаешь, почему я живу Дрем? Здесь древний так это был Кел, древний ненар. Поэтому я решил здесь тысяч. Это... Но это лишь мати. Если ты сможешь узнать дракона, он не мешкай. Алдуин идет. Он не пропустит этих знаков. Сультурсе Алдуин Вокри. Сегодня власть Алдуина будет восстановлена. Но твоя смелость достойна похвалы. Крифотакрин. Теперь умри напрасной смертью.
Битва внизу идет плохо. Если Алдуин не примет наш вызов, боюсь, все потеряно.
Ты слишком волнуешься, брат. Победа будет за нами.
Почему Алдуин выжидает? Мы рисковали всем из-за твоего плана, старик.
Он придет. Он не отринет наш вызов. И зачем ему нас бояться?
Мы его хорошо потрепали. 4 его родичей пали сегодня от моего клинка.
Но никто еще не выстоял против самого Алдуина. Калтер, Сори, Биркер.
У них не было драконобоя. Как только мы его свалим, клянусь, я отрублю ему голову.
Ты не понимаешь. Алдуина нельзя убить, как меньших драконов. Он нам не по силам. Вот почему я принес древний свиток.
Фелдер, мы же решили его не использовать.
Я не соглашался. И если ты прав,
нет,
он мне не понадобится.
Мы разберемся с Алдуином сами. Здесь и сейчас.
Скоро мы все увидим. Алдуин приближается.
Мейе, Тарадисанне, Химхин де Полив, Сухинтан.
пусть позовет нам тех, кто смотрит на нас из Совнгарда.
Что вы наделали? Что за искаженные слова вы создали? Тародис, Партурнакс. Я перекушу ему шею. Но сначала Дюрневир. Вы умрете в страхе, ибо знаете, на что обречены. Вы напоите мою силу, когда я приду за вами в Совнгарде.
Если я умру сегодня, то не в страхе. Тебе впервые стало страшно, Чарли. Я вижу это по твоим глазам. Skyrim будет свободен.
Нет, будь ты проклят! Вестал, используй свиток Селфи! Быстро! Стой, Андуин крылатый! Сестра Ясный, дай нам свое священное дыхание, чтобы этот договор был услышан. Изыди, пожиратель мира, словами, чьи кости старше, чем твои, мы лишаем тебя места в этой эпохе и изгоняем тебя! Ты изгнан, Андуин! Мы кричим, изгоняя тебя изо всех концов! Ты изгнан! Получилось! Получилось! Да, пожиратель мира ушел. Да смилостивятся духи над нашими душами.
Селесьор, мое чрево полно души твоих смертных друзей, Долгин. Умри и жди своей участи в Совнгарде. Лостфунд, ты опоздал, Андуин. Новакир, используй драконобой, если знаешь его. Партурнакс, моя сила росла, пока твоя уменьшалась. Авгувдир, встань рядом со мной.
Дюр! Води!
Тебя Тебе не справиться со мной. Я переживу вас, смертных.
Кронгра. Воистину, да, возможно, хорошее да, но твой сум силен, не сомневаюсь.
Что тебе... Я, наверное, Конечно, но я не понимаю. Алдуин? Сам Я ничего... Так, а что это за... Тогда... Так каков план? Как ты... Ну, так даже лучше. Это даст мне... Мы будем готовы, не бойся. У тебя же есть план, как на деле заманить дракона в эту ловушку? Если ты не...
Мне час... Боюсь, есть еще одна проблема. И очень серьезная. Все верно. Клинки. Справедливость требует, чтобы он умер за свои преступления. Пока он... И не... Использовав... Позови дракона он не... Я думаю, он не сможет. Затем внезапно вспышка... Света. Вдали. В самом...
Мы готовы, Даваки. Как я и обещал, мои люди знают, что делать. Сделай только свое дело. Я доверяю тебе судьбу своего города.
Эй, ты! Поосторожнее с магией тут!
Слышишь?
надо сюда приходить.
Вот он!
Спокойно. Теперь спокойно. Не высовывайтесь, пока он...
Пытаемся его убить. Но он точно пытается убить.
Инцифал. Много среди нас. Он Миндара Зуулост Офанхинлан. Теперь, когда я ответил на... что ж. Конечно, я могу отнести...
Так кажется больше.
Los, Janine!
Старый баг для воды. Иногда от него шел такой запах. Тебе повезло, что ты этого не знаешь. Здесь нужно налево. Когда у моего отца как-то случился приступ паранойи, он ушел. Если мы пойдем этим путем, сможем найти другой переключатель. Мы добрались до внутреннего двора. О, нет. Что здесь случилось? Здесь все разрушено. Все такое мертвое. Похоже, сюда до нас 100 лет не заходили. Этот проход вел в центральный зал замка. Похоже, мой отец его запечатал. Я обычно гуляла тут после ужина. Здесь было красиво когда-то. Это был мамин сад. Ты представляешь, какую красоту может создать мастер за сотни лет заботы и ухода? Она бы очень расстроилась, увидев это все. Постой. Что-то не то с лунными часами. Не хватает символов, и круг как-то перекошен. Я даже не знала, что символы можно снять. Возможно, моя мама пытается что-то нам сказать. Да. Очень умно, мама. Очень умно. Я никогда не была в этих тоннелях, но готова спорить, что они идут под 2... Никогда не видела эту часть замка. Будь осторожнее, я не знаю, что тут может оказаться.
Hey Joe. Very bad. Very, very quiet. Will you say something? Yeah. You are very low. Like, let me turn you on a bit, but...
I gotta change my microphone.
Yeah, it seems like because you're too quiet. I can barely hear you. Hey, it's no, not at all.
Not at all?
No, it's the same. Where is, how can I don't see the option to make you louder. It's like, I know when you're in an actual voice channel you can do that, but I don't see it here.
How about now?
Oh,
Is that better?
now better. Yes, now I can hear you.
No.
I can hear you. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, all
Okay,
good now.
So, how you doing, man?
It's been a while. I'm fine, I guess. You know, like I'm living in such place, so if you're alive and on freedom, then you're all good, all set. You know.
Oof. Well,
It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm glad you're like, you know, you sound like you're coping and stuff. Like, I hope, you know, you guys are doing okay. I think about you guys all the time. How's your wife doing?
She's good, she's good. Yeah, you know, like on her project, she had this stuff going on, like her managers were asking her to leave the Belarus because they were threatening her that otherwise she will lose, you know, like the job. Not the job, but the project, you know, like that they will stop working with her, but she said whatever, and after that they decided that she is too, you know, like she's a very important worker and knows so much, so they decided to, like, you know how they said it, to do a favor and let her stay, like, that's actually fucking disgusting, you know, like, seriously. Some people who think that they decide the destinies, like, it's so much bullshit, I don't know. You know, it's all like, to make you feel that how to say it, that you're dependent and that now you should be thankful and I don't know, tight, whatever.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I hate corporations. I'm really sour on the whole like corporate big business and stuff. That's where it gets like that. Everyone's like, all those guys that are making those decisions like that they're so disconnected from reality, and say your wife, they don't know her, they're not close to her, they don't work closely with her, but they're making those decisions. That's only allowed when you get these big companies and corporations, like if it's a small shop, like a mom and pop shop, and you know the bosses and you're close, then it's that stuff doesn't. Well, I guess it does happen. There are abusive people out there, but I don't know. I'm just rambling. I hate big companies, man.
Yeah, me too. Like I don't know. Apart from that, so here the latest news, as I know, that Belarus today officially. Let me actually read it. Yeah, Belarus allowed default on on its debts,
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know, like, what does it mean actually? Like, okay, we won't get money from Europe, or what? Like,
Well, banks will be, if they loan you money, you'll get a shittier interest rate, which will push you further into debt, unless you get some sort of international help, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did to Greece, right? Like Greece defaulted, and then the bailout, made it so that they were going to be having, what they call austerity for a long time. Like they're going to cut government programs, cut spending, because with the higher interest rates that it takes to get loans to do stuff, it just means there's not much money left for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks. I also hate big banks.
Bank is, yeah. I wonder why. Yeah. I wonder why you hate it. Since you've been working with banks like a couple of years. Yeah, decade. Well.
Yeah. What happened? Like, are you guys... Are they gonna move you off the lseg.com?
Yeah, they should. No, I don't. I'm actually very hopeful for these changes. Like I'm very hopeful that all this nightmare, yes, that it will end, because at the moment, we have 2 teams. Like I have Refinitiv team and yes, 2 Microsoft teams, and like it's horrible. I can access only one per time, and I'm using, like I'm on one PC, on my main PC. I'm connecting to Refinitiv teams because I'm have to communicate with the QA team and update my automation results and etc. And on another PC, I'm using the LSEC teams where I updating, where I updating other stuff, like talking to Chris, talking to other guys, and etc. And it's a nightmare. And also accessing the email is a whole interesting story. I need to connect to FDI all the time and.
Like you're still getting your tokens through VDI. Like,
No, my tokens are not working. My tokens, remember I was telling you about guy Mikita, I don't remember his last name. He contacted me and said like, hey man, I'm getting your tokens. Yes, and so yes, and so after that, I mean, I'm using only Requiem VPN. Other VPN is not working for me, and nothing I can do.
You can only wait. I mean, so how do you get a token then? For any of the I thought you needed a token.
No. Requiem VPN, it's the first VPN that I was installing like 4 years ago when I... Requiem, yes. It's the first VPN that I was using since the beginning.
One-time password.
Yes, and I'm getting it on my email. It didn't stop working, but other VPNs, like...
Accept that token.
Yes, I'm my token being sent to other guy. And when I talked about this to Arundhati or other guys, they said me, well, you have to create a ticket, but wait. Not only you have to create a ticket, you also have to send an email and also create a ticket there and there and there, and that's just fuck it. Yeah, I can live without it. I don't want to waste my life for creating the tokens and then waiting, you know, like for response, like. Try now. I remember all this stuff. It will just happen forever. So yeah.
Yeah, they you know, my VPN access still works. I actually was able to use the token. I didn't try Weehawken today, but I tried the Cogent one, and it worked. But the whole reason why that still works is because you know, Pi, I don't know if you remember this, but Pi like said, you know, I mean, there's in our Jira, there's no ticket that's gonna really get it done. You actually have to create a ticket in Remedy, and if you don't create a ticket in Remedy, which is the, you know, the beta side of the company, like their ticketing system, then it's never going to get done because Beta stole all our IT guys that know how to do it, and their boss now won't let them do anything without a Remedy ticket. So I never put in the Remedy ticket to shut down my VPN account. My old password still works, even though it's over a month now. And I got in and I gave Youngin and that guy, new guy Ram, a demo on how to do sandbox web services and shit today. They're freaking out about the pre-prod release tomorrow.
You know, like whole this release was going like completely disaster. The integration, USB in integration wasn't working like at all, and we can.
I heard the messy machine where all the integration shit died, so they had to move it, right? I think that's what Youngin said. It's like, you know, all the integration middleware used to live on this machine called Messy, and the machine is like a real machine. It's not a VM, and it was from like a decade ago, longer. It was there when I got there to start working a decade ago. Just a regular, you know, it's not a PC, it's a server, but it's like really old hardware. finally died, and they moved everything that was on Messi over to Alonso, which is also the same fucking age. It's also a decade old, and now it has all of QA and all of integration running on it. So I don't know how long that's gonna last, dude.
It's horrible, man. But from other side, like, you know, Aga told us really good news. That knew this Clear Lake or what is her bosses or whatever, that they're very interested, like keeping us, you know, and we can don't like that. We should not worry that we will be fired or something like this.
Yeah, that's definitely very likely. I'm just worried. You know, the main thing you guys got to do to make it work again is you got to get back some IT guys that can do things like, you know, fix Messi or fix your token and have it actually happen quickly, right? Like, until you're not... I mean, I know when they're going to have to move you off of lsec.com eventually, right? Because, you know, Clear Lake and Motive won't tolerate you having emails and stuff like that. But, you know, along with that is like, you know, someone managing that migration and all the IT stuff. And that's, I mean, you know, you guys are still kind of intact with Aga and Chris there. And, you know, I guess the rest of the CPT team, you can still actually do most of the things that U.S. Bank would want, you know, and that's a lot of money that Clear Lake Motive can make every year because U.S. Bank has money to spend. So I'm not surprised they want to keep that. They have, you know, a revenue stream with Truist and RWB and Bank of the West a little bit, but other than that, it's the big thing is U.S. Bank, and CPT specialized in servicing U.S. Bank. So I mean, as far as I know, you guys do have security there. Your lives are going to be miserable until you get like someone to actually service the hardware that you're working with and all your IT problems. You know? But there's a chance it could work. You know, she's right. I hope it happens. You know, it's like better happen soon. You know. LSEG is slowing shit down. Well, I don't know if they're slowing shit down. They closed the deal, but, you know. So, what do the rest of the guys think? You know, what do they say to you?
You know, Joe, it's I will now complain for what you did. Like, actually, yes, you know, like, there are a couple of strategies how to be a good worker, you know, on the project. I heard it a lot. I heard a lot of stories from, you know, my core workers from Hard. They were saying, like, you know what needed to be done to make you safe on your workplace? You need to write a code only in such ways that only you can understand how it works. And you should organize the processes only like in that way that only you can manage it. So what you did is that you organized the processes that only you can handle at the moment, you know? Only you, like, guys are very used on how you was working, how you was telling them the statuses, how, like, all this stuff. And because of you now, they're very, very struggling, because they don't know how this or that works. They don't know a lot of stuff, you know, and yeah, so it's it's
I agree. I agree. I'm not
because
gonna
you
take
because
full
you
blame
you
for
you,
that.
too, you took too much on yourself, you know, like now it's happening because you took too much on your shoulders, and you did a lot of stuff for the guys, and that's why at the moment yeah, they just don't know how the stuff works, basically.
Yeah. I feel bad about that.
Yeah,
They asked
I
me a
I want
couple
you I want you to tell one like you will laugh, but let it be between us. It's a funny stuff. Like Sergey R recently, like yesterday, he asked me a question. Like and question sounded like this: Mikita, what is an int? You get it now, right?
Oh, good. Fuck.
Yes, because all this time he was thinking that integration is trunk. You know, like that it's QA trunk. It's the same stuff as integration. And yeah, I was kinda shocked, but of course I explained him. Now it's all good, but again.
Yeah, I mean, that it's actually leads back to the same thing you were just saying right before that. I mean, this wasn't purposefully done, but there's this little trick that we do that kind of makes it. You know, you are correct in the answer that you gave him, but he is also correct to be very confused about what happened, because technically what's in int is the very same code as what's in trunk, but what we do right before we deploy to int is we take a branch called release and we set it to be equal to everything in trunk, and then we deploy that release branch to a place that everyone starts testing for integration. And so it's got the same exact code as trunk, and he knows that in his head, like, wait a second, you know, we just integrated, we just merged everything into trunk. That's what they're testing now. I see the code. But technically we don't use that branch when you're doing your integration testing, you're not hitting the trunk code, it's hitting a different branch called release. So it's really confusing, and it's maintenance that myself, or other people did every month, and we didn't tell you guys about, or we, you know, only offhand sometimes. And yeah, everything you're saying is true. There's all these little things that are very sort of quirky that aren't well explained or not obvious or intuitive. But there's another side of it, right? And I want you to keep this to yourself too. I mean, I'm not like, it's not like I'm pissed about it, but like, you know, nobody believed me when what I was saying, like, you know, a few months ago, like, hey, I'm leaving. You need to worry about how to build
Yesterday it was so awkward. It was so awkward moment yesterday, Joe. By the way, when some new woman, I don't remember her. She asked, who can work with that? Who knows this stuff? And respond was, well, it was Joe. and you know, like, it's a silent, complete silent, and they were trying, well, maybe CPT guys know how to do that, and they're like, no, we don't. And yeah, it was so awkward moment.
Is it Emily?
No, it was not Emily.
It's a new person?
You know, like, it was on a Teams call, and they have these initials, they're not the actual name, so it's hard for me to tell you.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I knew, you know, what Aga called me about today and what both the front end guys messaged me in Telegram about this morning is that same stuff. And I already had an article written up on to do exactly what they were asking me about. It's in my personal space on Confluence. It's called Tips on Handling USB and Mobile Builds. And so, you know, I gave him a little explanation, but it was all in the fucking link that I wrote, you know, 3 months ago when I was saying, hey, when I leave, you're going to have trouble building mobile for the clients. Who's going to take that on? You know, right now, the CPT guys don't have access to Salesforce and they never build for releases. They just work on projects. And I told that to Chris and Aga. You know, they knew it too. You know, it wasn't. I can't blame just the guys for asking me these questions again and not knowing. But you know, Chris and Aga should have done something about it 2 months ago or 1 month ago. Also,
Yeah, for sure.
you know,
wait a
Aga's got
moment.
lot on
I had a
Sure.
phone call. 1 moment.
Sure.
Hey, John.
Yeah, sure. Hey,
Yeah,
what's
I'm
up?
back.
Yeah, so you know, I knew this was gonna happen, but you know, at least now they're waking up and realize they have to do this stuff. They'll probably take notes and remember this time because they actually have to do it. You know?
Yes, I believe so. Nobody was just taking it seriously. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Nobody was taking it seriously. And that's all what it led to, what it happened.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the guy, you know how Youngin, the guy from Korea who's hard to understand.
Yes.
I spent 2 hours on the
Is
phone with him today.
he using, is he living in USA though?
Yeah, he lives in New Jersey.
Okay. I just said he's from Korea, so I decided maybe he's working from there too.
He's got a very strong accent and he's not very good with English.
Yeah, I know. I'm very, like, you know, surprised when I was really surprised. I thought he's like first that he's some kind of offshore. Yeah, but then yeah.
He's actually extremely smart and gifted with fixing middleware and database problems, but he's a horrible communicator. Like, I mean, horrible. But you should also know, right? Like, I want you to know because I know why this is going to come back to get you, right? I can already tell. So what were they asking? So like, USB asked for them to repoint Sandbox to their UAT environment, right? So they can test mobile Sandbox. And do you remember those times when we attempted to test USB Sandbox, you know, and we have to go through their authentication? You know, we have those, you have to give that security answer, and it's always the last word in the sentence or the question. So you remember there was some, do you remember the login IDs that we were using? Do you have them written?
John something like Stensland or something like that?
Well, that's the front end for the desktop. But you remember they were kind of like
for mobile?
Something like for mobile.
Oh, yeah.
It was like RFV01 and RFV02.
I need to look. You know, like it's. I
So
have
here's the deal.
Yeah.
somebody's gonna come looking for that shit, and you're the only one, other than maybe the other front-end mobile guys, you're gonna be the only one who knows what the hell anyone's talking about. But, so like, you remember how like US Bank has to kind of like cycle those users through, and like the passwords go bad and they have to like refresh them? Do you remember that at all? When we were working on projects, it's like those mobile logins for their sandbox, it's like they made like 3 of them for us when we were like testing we were testing the agreements or whatever. Do you remember that? Or
yeah, something. It was like
the marketing, or like opting in and out of those fucking user agreements or something like that. But we needed a few of them to pick up, you know, real sort of users from the USB side in order to test the mobile project. And those passwords go bad, but the users are still there probably. And so US Bank, now I'm swinging back to the beginning of the story. I'll finish soon though. US Bank asked us to repoint our sandbox web services to, you know, some other place. I think it was UAT5. Now, I don't know where it was pointing before, but if they're asking for that, it means they're about to start testing stuff. And I don't know what you guys did or what changes came through mobile, so, you know, since I've been gone, but maybe you can tell me. But like, if you guys have to build binaries and test or fix a problem that's on Sandbox or only reproducible in Sandbox, which may very well be the case for other reasons that I won't get into, you're going to want and need those credentials to work. Now, I told Chris that they exist and that you might come looking that you might be able to provide them when someone comes looking, except that the passwords won't work. So what I'm trying to say is Chris might come looking for them and you provide them, and Chris will go get the passwords refreshed, and then only at that point will you be able to say, yes, Aga, we can investigate this mobile bug in the sandbox. So that's going to happen only because I had to hold Youngin. Youngin is now a front-end developer. Like, he's going to be doing front-end. You know, I don't know about mobile, but like, he's, for pre-prod tomorrow, he's going to release Investor Desktop and web services because I showed him how. If he's doing that shit for web services for them, which I also helped him do, then somebody out there is going to start testing mobile, and someone finds a bug, and our poor guys, Sergey and Pavel, are going to have to figure out what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
You know.
But again, you know, like, that's not, how to say it properly, that's not completely, like, that's not our fault or your fault. It's their fault that they like screw everything up on this, that they didn't prepare and all that stuff. So the suffering is not on us at this point. True. Like, you know.
I mean, I could imagine Sergey and Pavel getting nervous that they don't know how to do shit all of a sudden, then they're being asked to do shit. But other than that, yeah, you're right. It's nobody's fault really. You know, USB still, even if like it takes you guys a little bit longer to deal with those issues because I'm not around, like there's still all that project work that they know you guys are capable of doing for them. So it still doesn't even really hurt your image in their eyes, you know. So I wouldn't worry about it. It's just what I see coming on the horizon. Yeah.
And what's about you? It's like,
what about me?
Yes. Well, how's your place? Do you like it? and all that stuff?
It is weird for me. It's been a really strange experience.
Why?
I don't know, because I learned so much about how to do this kind of role with you and the guys, and now you're not there. I have these other people, and I have to like figure out, there's someone who's playing Aga's role. There's two QA testers, both in Minsk. I should tell you their names. You might know them, and but actually, all the developers are on shore. There's three developers on my team, and 2 QA testers, and I'm supposed to be developing too, and I am. It's just really different and weird. Like it's very startup-y, very new, and they kind of operate the same way we did because they're adhering to, sort of like agile-like practices. But it's this weird kind of situation where it's a very new startup compared to like what Cyvantage was. Even if Cyvantage 10 years ago was a startup and struggled and all this shit, more recently, like even you described, it's like, there was some level of consistency and maturity there. At least we had a process and a thing going, right, for a while. But this place is like very new. It was like, even 2 years ago, there were only like 25 employees, and now there's like 200 employees. So it's growing extremely fast, and there's all these young people that have no idea what to do because this is their first job, or they haven't experienced like a real sort of like meat grinder like you and I have with this Cyvantage shit. So
I guess that's why you're there.
That is why I'm there, but it's it's weird because like they're young and they haven't been through the meat grinder, but they grew up with, they already know all these agile practices, and they already know GitHub fancy like shit and all this technology. So like they kind of like grew up more comfortable with all these new ways and tools of doing stuff, but they're also very immature people, so like they know how to fly around and do all this stuff, but they're just behaving like assholes. So it's really weird in that sense. Like I have a hard time, sometimes it's hard to tell people that like say, you and I know each other, like say some shit hits the fan and I'm like, hey, are you going to be around to do this shit? You think you can get this testing done in that amount of time? Sometimes that's easier when you know someone, and sometimes it's harder. But me personally, I have a hard time doing that with people that I don't know and are very sort of like young and haven't sort of been in these situations before. Like they get, they respond in sort of different and weird ways and stuff. I don't know. Hard to describe, but it's a very young and immature environment for the most part. A lot of young people compared to Cyvantage. So, but the really good thing about it is that also, like you were saying, it's like I was doing too much. Probably was doing too much at Cyvantage, and even if like I'm already on the track to be doing too much here at the Bowery, having to quit your job and then start a new job, it means at least you're not expected to know all this shit and do all this shit at first. So it's been kind of like a relief. Like I can forget like all the technical stuff that, Cyvantage had going on. Like I'm not responsible for that technical stuff, and all this new technical stuff. It's a lot, right? But it's like new, and I'm not expected to, know anything important right now, so it's kind of like a big relief in that sense, you know, less pressure. But and I talked to, so like, let me tell you the names of these two QA testers that are on my team. They, you know, they were already there when I got there, and you were used to a certain way of doing things. I don't stay up late and talk to them. The way it's done is more kind of strict with a Kanban board, and they just sort of, you know, they have stuff that they can do if there are no tickets ready, but they just look on the board, and if there are tickets that are ready to test, they grab them, and there's supposed to be enough in the tickets for them to know what to do. They've obviously been there, so they know what to do, you know, like you know what to do, and so I don't have to explain much to them, so that's also kind of a load off. You know, not that I had to explain much to you, but there's a lot of questions from everyone else around Cyvantage. But so one guy's name is Victor Zuk. His last name is spelled Zhuk, or at least the English version of his name. And the other tester is Irina Chistobeva.
I mean, Chistabaeva.
Chistabaeva. Yeah, so, you know, I don't even know when they get up. Maybe I will have to get tighter with them, but it's like the other thing the one thing that's a real load off, and is exactly what you were talking about earlier. Like you were saying, I was doing too much for the guys, and they didn't know what an int was, which still makes me laugh. But like for, you know, this place, it's like they use all the full sort of power of GitHub and automatic merges and stuff, and so when it comes time to like moving stuff to, you know, QA or to staging or integration, people are just like clicking buttons, and there's no like heavy merging that's going on manually usually. And we have releases every week, so if you miss a release, it's like not a big deal to wait until next week. So it's like a much more relaxed release process, you know. But I don't know. Is that kind of what you were asking about? What did you really want to know?
No, I was asking, like, do you like it? Do you hate it? Like, are you happy with your new place? All these, you know, common questions. Maybe it's so bad there that you want to get back.
Well, I'll put it this way. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I can imagine myself doing other things and enjoying myself better doing those other things. So, but what I will say is, like, you know, it's growing very fast, and it's very startup-y, and they're going for an IPO at like a breakneck pace. They have good funding, but it could all blow up in our faces. Like, I would not be surprised at all if in a year or 2 years I was just laid off because it all crashed and burned. And so, you know, I'm keeping my connections with people at Cyvantage, you know, or all the people that we used to work with, because it's not a sure thing. But I also, I mean, between you and me, and it's easier for me to say this now because I don't know why. Maybe I already said this shit to you, but I'm like a doom and gloom guy. I think this shit's going to hit the fan, and in 3 years, the economy is going to be so bad, there's just not going to be much work anyway, or I'm going to lose my job anyway, regardless of how this company is mismanaging or managing. And, you know, I'm trying to set myself up to be, you know, like I have some goals that have to do with like buying land in a house with money that I have saved up, not owing anything to the banks, and, you know, having some layer of security in that sense, like owning, because like right now I still rent, you know, I rent the place. I own my car, right? But
Mm-hmm.
same with my sister. She just rents the place where she lives. I want to have like a level of security for when the shit hits the fan if I need to start growing my own potatoes, you know. I'm dead
rough.
serious, man. I'm dead serious. Like that's how pessimistic I am about the future.
I actually don't think that you are, you know, like too pessimistic. You are more realistic, to be true.
Could be, dude.
Especially like with everything that's going on.
The whole southwest of the U.S. is about to run out of water. You know, there's going to be a lot of migration, and the economy is already fucked up. It's just there's going to be a lot of suffering, and I just, you know, I don't have any faith that my job is going to be there in 2 or 3 years is what I'm trying to say. So I'm just, you know, I'm just doing it. I'm trying to stay healthy, you know. I had to.
I have, by the way, I have all these feelings that you talking that my job is not gonna be there soon. But like I have these thoughts for 3 years already, so it's maybe like, you know.
I agree. Like I've been pessimistic for too long for it to not be questioned like that. But you know, I'm not, you know, gonna let that get in the way of like me living my life and trying to enjoy things. I just, you know, I'm not gonna. If you tell me, you know, do you like it there? It's, you know, I'm not gonna be like, you know, oh, I love it, it's great, you know, everyone's fucking blah 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 blah. You know, it's just a fucking job, you know.
Yeah. Like it's really helped me a lot when I had my first depression, when I completed the magistery, got my magistery degree, and everything that I got offered is from my grandpa who was working in factory. He said that he can take me for $70 per month. That was the best offering, and I said fuck it, and I went to work for my parents. I was getting $200, and for 3 years, I believe, yeah, I worked in that way, and I had really bad depression. At that moment, it was my first depression because, you know, I thought that all doors in my life will be opened for me, and it happens that way that they were not, and that apart from my parents, I was not needed anywhere, like or by anyone. So yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately.
It's a bad feeling.
Yeah.
I've been there too, man. I'm like, definitely, you know, I'm not gonna get into it, but I definitely fucked up my first, you know, try at college. And, you know, partied too much and picked an area of study that didn't lead to any employment, you know, and then I went back to school for computer science. I've been there. I know what that. I mean, like, not to diminish what you feel. I'm just trying to relate. You know, it's a tough place to be, man. I feel you. But I mean, like, I don't know. Life has a way of beating that shit out of you. You know, it's like these days. You know, I just like wanna. It's like I guess I put up. These days I put up with more than I probably imagined I would put up with when I was younger. I don't know what that means. It's just like, I don't know. I definitely, you know, I'm like on Reddit, like I'm kind of feeling like the anti-work subreddit. Like I just this whole work thing and like becoming like slaves to, you know, the paychecks that help us pay the rent and keep things going. It's just like so fucked up, man. I hate it. You know, so I'm never gonna be gung ho about a job. You know, like some people love that shit. You know, like that guy Valentin or I think Aga. You know, they get really juiced up out of like meeting all the new people and like shaking hands and wondering, oh, what that person is like and this and that. It's like I don't fucking care about all these people. You know.
I'm the same, you know, like I have my colleague, she like student, you know, like who I was preparing for, and she complains about her new teammate on the project because he's a mentor too, and he's like telling about it like 100 times on a day. Per day he's mentioning that he's a mentor and stuff like that, and she was saying like but why I did not do that and all that stuff, and I responded like, well, because I did not care and because I don't love that stuff so much. And she's like, but why? I mean, well, I have to spend my personal time on other people. Like, how can I love that? And she was and she said like, but you was doing it so good, like you was helping and you explained so good and all that stuff. I'm like, well, if I don't like it, it doesn't mean that I can't do it properly. Like you don't have to to like something to do it good, you know, like you so speaking back to my first depression, like what helped me a lot is psychologist. He was like 80 years old, I believe, and this dude, he explained me a lot. Like he was saying such things that I thought first that they were like unimaginable for me at that time, and because you know, he was so pragmatic and he was telling such things. He said like, you know, like your job does not decide and doesn't make who you are. And I'm like, yes, doesn't define you. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? How my job doesn't define me? Like, what you talking, man? Like, my job should be the the goal of my life. It should like you know, all this kind of bullshit that we used to and yeah. And he like, man, no, your job is just your job, that you're getting money and paying the rent for your house, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, well, that's... I did not think of that, you know, like,
yeah.
That was cool.
It's good. Yeah, it's good though. I mean, like, yeah, it's, I mean, sometimes it's like the old people that want to rule you, you know, like, or be like, you know, I just hate all these, like, you know, rulers of countries that are like, you know, 80 years old or 70 years old, but a lot of times old people, you know, that aren't, you know, power hungry, but, you know, they're still sharp in the head, you know, they have a lot to say, and like, they're so able to remove themselves from, you know, like all the shit that you and I would say be going through as a young individual, not being able to, you know, we're sort of like struggling under the pressures of society and all these misconceptions about what we have to do with our lives and stuff. And it's like, I can see it now. Like I didn't really care when I was younger, but you know, it's like when you get that old, you're pretty much ready to die. You're like okay with death, and you're like sort of able to remove yourself from all these things that, you know, people that, you know, like all this, a better way to say it is like all the things that sort of frighten or sort of generate anxiety or depression in young people are things that, you know, old people like are kind of able to remove themselves from because they know they're sort of staring down the barrel of a gun, you know. It's like, I don't, not that I love old people in general, like, you know, but they have that unique perspective. It's like, I've been there too, right? And it's, it surprised me, you know, to just someone who doesn't, they don't really, you know, I guess the added benefit of a therapist too is like someone who's not related to you, right? They're still, they're in the business to actually help, but they're not related to you. So
it was actually, it was for free. You know, it was anonymous help, and I remember I was really big troubles back then with my father. Like we were quarreling forever. He was pissed, you know, like he was pissed with me, I was pissed with him all the time, and I told about it, and he said, well, you know, like two men can't live under one roof unless they're gays. And it was like, you know, all the stuff that he was saying, it was so precise, and it was so like accurate, and I just I don't know, like it was this man, he just fixed my life at that time, like he just did, and then he died because he was too old, like a year after, yes, he died, I believe. So yeah, that's too bad, but this dude, he just, I don't know. It wasn't even, you know, I was talking to him, he's like 80 years old, he's a really old man, and on a lot of stuff he was like, you know, I was feeling myself old when I was talking to him. You see, like, he was mentioning such things, like, you know, that only young people usually, you know, like young people, they are more, I don't know, not pragmatic, what it's called, modern, you know, like they don't care usually about the morality of the actions, they don't have this kind of chains on them, or what it's called, and when I was talking to him like that, someone like my father or whoever did something bad, he said like he did like it's bad only from your perspective, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, like from their perspective, they didn't do anything wrong, and I'm like, well, actually he's right. Like, why didn't I think of that? And that's like, I don't know, too much stuff he was mentioning like this, so I was, yeah.
What do you mean, too much stuff?
A lot of stuff like this, you know, like when I was considering the time right, and he said, like, you are right, but only from you are not wrong, you are right, but only from your perspective, you know?
Yeah.
Like, from your perspective, yes, you are right, but, yeah, it's, I don't know.
There's this one part to that thing that I remember my therapist told me. I mean, it's about that, right? Like, what he said was that, you know, even if your perspective is wrong, if you're trying to process emotions, you still have to honor your your perspective as something to process. So it means the same thing, right? Like it doesn't, your perspective is something that has to be taken as true in terms of a feeling that it might generate feelings or emotions or thoughts that you still have to deal with, even if your perspective might not be accurate. It doesn't really matter whether or not your perspective is accurate. It still exists, and it's something you have to face. It's kind of like it gets you halfway there to what he's saying, but it's like, a practical way to apply it is like, say you're in a conversation with someone at work and they say something that offends you, right? It really doesn't matter if their perspective is they didn't say anything to offend you, or they didn't mean to offend you, so they're not guilty. None of that matters. What matters is actually the fact that you were offended, and that still has to be dealt with.
Yeah, but Joe, it's so abstract. It's so abstract, like this being offended stuff. Like you can be offended with anyone saying, "Hey, you're good looking," or like.
That's exactly why your perspective matters, right? It's because emotions and feelings and interactions are so abstract. You really only the best perspective to deal with first as you're moving through life is your own, because of the abstractness. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Like, you don't know what's someone else finds offensive. They don't know what you might be offended by. Shit happens, right? But if you're offended, you still kind of have to move through it, decide whether or not to address it with them, decide whether or not to be pissed off about it, decide whether or not you're going to move on with your life. It doesn't matter whether or not they didn't mean it, or there wasn't even an offensive thing said. If you were offended, you were offended, right? So that's the point. That's what I mean. It's like if you're in the emotional plane, everything is abstract and irrational, and it kind of necessitates that you have to address your feelings no matter what, even if they are irrational or unfounded.
Yeah.
It's a good sort of tool and outlook, because you get to it affords you the space to feel how you're going to feel no matter what happened, right? Like, it kind of doesn't matter what happened, you still have to deal with the way you feel. And a lot of people go through their lives avoiding the way they feel, and that leads to all kinds of other shit, like beating up your wife or drinking alcohol, and all kinds of fucked up shit. But to be able to, to be a mature person, to move through emotions effectively, you need to be able to accept them. And that means, like, taking your own perspective very seriously, even if it might be wrong. So, I mean, all I'm saying is that he was right. What that guy said to you was right. It's good stuff, though. Good stuff. Very abstract, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So what do you got? What do you got to do today? What do they have you testing?
We got build 6 for USB, and I'm gonna busy with
integration build.
Yes,
6?
yes, and to be true, I tested only first one, and that's about it. All other builds, yeah, USB was not working, unfortunately. So yeah, so I will be busy with that, I believe.
What's in the build, though? What
the fix. So that's another cool story. We had a project for the PMI page. You remember that? And on portfolio at a glance page, USB reported a bug that margin balance showing up 2 times. Like, this block margin balance showing up on portfolio at a glance page 2 times. Not only that, it shows 2 times for specific margin accounts, not for all margin accounts, because the accounts that I was checking, there were only 1 block for margin balance. But also, like Sergey R told, it's not happening on the branch, it's only happening on int, because someone from Island Hopper team, like, just copy to erase twice. And that's why everything is so fucked up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I thought... So you guys don't really you still don't really mix with the Island Hopper team? Like,
no, not at all.
Like
I was told, like, Mikita, if you have any questions related to the int, please reach out to Dmitry Shulko, or what's something like this guy was named, and I'm like, alright, then I will, and that's about it.
I mean, like, that, my thought was that you guys might be able to make a stronger whole if, like, the Island Hopper team, combines with the CPT team to, like, just join forces. And I kind of, like, it was more like, I should have said, like, you know how, like, the guy, like, you guys can't deploy to production or anything, or you can't make, production mobile builds or whatever, at least the other guys. And, with me leaving and Amy leaving, it was like, who is going to be able to do things in production for US Bank, like for mobile or this and that. And the idea was floated that, well, why can't the offshore teams do some of this stuff? And along with that idea was like, let's make a super team and have them, that woman Alicia, you probably saw her in some of the meetings, like, she's like kind of like a mini version of Aga. Like, we thought, like, she would sort of manage you guys too or something. Like when you guys are all up and we're all sleeping, we would give her things.
But that's not
like,
what's happening.
That would cover, like, my role. Like, if she had tasks that you guys had to do when Aga went to sleep, then she could kind of do what I did, which is stay up later and talk to you guys if there was something important to talk about. But, I guess it never happened. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, we will see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, let me know. I told Aga I was gonna be around if shit hits the fan tomorrow for pre-prod. But yeah, I'm totally expecting, now that you're a couple of months out from me being gone, and eventually you're gonna have to do real. There will be shit coming up. I just figured that now is when there are going to be people reaching out, and it's happening. So, like, don't be afraid to ask.
Joe, you know me, I'm never afraid to ask, and usually I'm asking too much. But no, I'm never afraid to ask.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask. You're right, you aren't. I just, it's weird, so I'm just trying to make sure that people know that they can reach out. Technically, it's, well, whatever. Fucking Aga's a different story. Part of the, I'll shut up in a second, but part of what, we keep this between you and me, but this is my opinion, and this is my perspective, and I could be wrong. But part of what made my life difficult there and ended up putting me in a position where I had to do all that stuff for the guys, and they wind up not knowing what an int is. part of that is Aga, sort of like the way she would drive the projects and keep, sort of keep busy. Like she would never. You're supposed to be able to fail sometimes and not make deadlines or get things delayed. I know that happened sometimes, but usually it wasn't because of us. It was some other external factor. What am I trying to say? She cracked the whip pretty hard. She was like, she drove us pretty hard, and she drove me pretty hard, and it kind of, I think it led to a little burnout on my part. So, but anyway, just don't let her know that I think that.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, so I don't know. You probably have stuff to do. I don't want to keep yapping at you, but let me know what's happening.
Yeah, sure, Joe. Thank you a lot for conversation.
Yeah, sure. My pleasure, man.
Yeah, have a good night then.
You too.
Yeah,
Take
bye.
it easy. Peace.
Los, гони!
Придется убить тебя. Снова. Нужно двигаться дальше. Уж прости, но от меня так просто не избавишься. Если... И куда пойдешь? Ты не можешь меня просто взять и бросить, когда захочется. Нравится тебе это или нет, я иду с тобой.
Фюр! Воды!
Мама? Мама!
О, Создатель. Не может быть. Сирана?
Это действительно ты? Не могу в это поверить.
Сирана, что ты здесь делаешь? Где твой отец?
Он не знает, что мы здесь. Нет времени на объяснение.
Значит, я не справилась. Харкон нашел способ расшифровать пророчество, так ведь?
Нет, ты все не так поняла. Мы здесь, чтобы остановить его и навести порядок.
Подожди, кто это с тобой? Ты совсем с ума сошла?
Нет, не...
Ты, подойди сюда. Я хочу с тобой поговорить. Скажи, как то... Мне больно думать, что ты странствуешь. Мне Сирана принесла огромную жертву. Ты думаешь, свитки лишен... Когда я... Свиток... Во втором свитке говорит, как и я, родится. Мы называем их дочерями холодных. Теперь ты понимаешь, почему для завершения с его точки зрения. И как, прости, ты планируешь остановить? У тебя еще меньше ума. Тебя не беспокоит. Даже ты здесь лишь потому. Сирана? Этот незнакомец выступает на стороне тех, кто с радостью расправится с тобой, как с диким зверем. И я должна доверить тебя ему.
Этот незнакомец за то короткое время, что мы знакомы, сделал для меня больше, чем ты за многие века.
Да как ты смеешь? Я отказалась от всего, что было мне дорого, чтобы защитить тебя от фанатика, которого ты называешь отцом.
Да, он фанатик. Он изменился, но он все еще мой отец. Постарайся понять, что я чувствую.
Сирана, когда же ты, наконец, раскроешь глаза? Когда твой отец узнает о твоей роли в пророчестве, что ему нужна твоя кровь, ты окажешься в огромной опасности.
И чтобы защитить, ты решила оградить меня от всего, что я любила? Ты никогда не спрашивала, хочу ли я, чтобы меня заперли в гробнице. Ты считала, что я должна слепо следовать за тобой. Вы оба были одержимы, каждый по-своему. Твоя мотивация, возможно, была иной, но в конечном итоге я и для тебя просто пешка. Я хочу, чтобы мы снова стали семьей, но я не знаю, суждено ли этому случиться. Возможно, мы не заслужили такого счастья. Возможно, это не для нас. Но мы должны остановить его прежде, чем он зайдет слишком далеко. А для этого нужен древний свиток.
Прости, Сирана. Я не знала, не понимала. Я слишком долго позволяла ненависти к твоему отцу держать нас на расстоянии. Прости меня. Если тебе нужен древний свиток, забирай его. Я пока не могу, но во благо Сираны я... Да. К счастью, тебе, похоже, уже... Да. Еще по приказу идеальных повелителей он приглядывает за смотрителями. И он, несомненно, захочет узнать, куда делся барьер.
Я рада, что ты со мной. Не думаю, что я справилась бы одна.
Дюр! Спаси!
Я что-то слышу.
Это Дюрневир. Он здесь. Защищайтесь.
Кто там? Ты не убьешь.
Прости мое изумление. О Дюрневире разве что... Душа, возможно, твой смертельный удар. Минут. Осталось отдать вам древний свиток, и вы сможете продолжить путь.
Не могу поверить, что моя мама жива. Ну, то есть, ты меня понимаешь. Вот так. Это
Теперь
последний
древний
свиток.
свиток у вас.
Пошли.
У меня не... Если я
Отнесем его
вернусь
в
в Тамриэль, это ценю твою помни. И обещай, что присмотришь за моей дочерью. Она — все, что у меня осталось.
Положи оружие, проклят, но не мертв. Ясно, мои, потому я нарек тебе эти слова. После я просто хочу, но до того если я покину, окажи мне эту честь. Для тебя я не требую ответа, Кванарин. На моем языке ты Давакин. Было в небесах парили Да, я начал изучать идеально. Взамен я должен был... Они могли контролировать свободу. Каир — единственная надежда. Вызвав меня, ты позволишь мне насладиться драгоценными моментами пребывания там.
Помоги мне найти Помоги мне найти моего Арвака. Нечего и помоги мне найти моего Арвака. Помоги мне найти моего Арвака.
Кто там?
Нечего ему делать в этом месте. Прощай.
Не было сомнений.
Надо же.
же было?
Каждый, погляди. Бейся славно.
Надеюсь, твои... Мне очень жаль. Это мой... Я думал, что мне ослеп? Нет. Нет, есть и ду... Я не могу гарантировать по всему. Если провести на поля... Нужно, когда мотыльков соберется, по традиции всех жрецов, как я понял из видения, древний свиток, который предрекает вызов богам.
Не слишком впечатляет, да? Если это путешествие обернется потерей времени, мне придется поговорить по душам с Диксионом, когда мы вернемся.
никого нет. Не
А
стоило
ты еще
сюда
откуда?
приходить.
Ты в порядке? На тебе лица не было. Я никак... Что насчет лука Ауре? Тогда где эта вечерняя пещера? Тогда вперед! Нужно попасть туда прежде, чем отец нападет на наш след.
Я тебя У меня тут письмо. Но вроде все. Ладно, мне пора.
Да, немного того, немного сего. Заходи еще.
Знаю, всегда но сдает, мне кажется, мне не терпится попробовать. Слава богам. Угу.
Кто там?
Серьезно думаешь,
Los, Yanni!